to some of you already, but I'll have my cards. I'm a replacement agent. So basically work like a sports agent or entertainment agent for you, represent you and looking for a position. I can probably try that. But the card I gave you here will have a QR code in the back, and if you scan it, put in your email, we will just email you information on little free blogs and things about finding a job, interview questions, all kinds of things regarding replacement. And one of the services is always free to any doctor looking for a position. So save your brain power and don't worry about looking for a job. We can help you. And worry about getting through school, getting your credits done, and all that good stuff. So I can be a resource. Call me, ask any questions anytime. I'm happy to help you guys.
And so focus on the microphone went out. Thanks, Kathy. All right, next up, we have some folks at Stockyards Bank here. Thank you all for coming as sponsor as well for our series, lecture series at UK and U of L. So thank you, guys. Anything you want to say? What do you want, you guys? You ever want to borrow money? You got a local bank that does really, really well. I know because I bank with them. So hopefully you guys at some point will need that, right? And then let's see, real quick before I introduce Matt Smith, he's going to talk real quick. He's also a sponsor, and he's been here as a sponsor for 5 years, right? 5 years, maybe. So he's going to present real quickly what they do here in Lexington with Dean Jordan. And also, just FYI, for who's here tonight, Joe Wilcox, territory manager here, actually in Lexington, is here. Raise your hand, Joe. Joe's here every time we have the lecture here. And a special guest appearance tonight, Jody Head is from the Owensboro area, the top territory manager. You know him? You know Jody? No. He's not familiar. Thank you. Jody, thank you for making this trip. I appreciate you being here. Dr. Get you in 1 second. So, Matt, you ready to roll? Okay, Matt Smith, New York.
Hello, everyone. I'm trying to talk loud. Can you all hear me? All right. So, I'm a CPA, and I focus primarily. Is this working now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, my name is Matt Smith, and I'm a CPA at a firm called Dean Jordan, as you can see there on the screen. I have been at Dean Jordan for 19 years now, and for the last, say, 15 or so years, what I focus on is helping dentists keep more of their money in their own pockets. And what I mean by that is I help practice owners keep track of the dollars coming in the door, going out the door, and being efficient with those dollars, which also includes planning for taxes and keeping your all's taxes as low as possible. So I just have a few minutes here today, so this is a real high-level presentation, and I'm just going to go over a couple of quick topics. So first would be making sure that you all can see the flow of funds for a typical dental practice. So you send a charge out for a procedure that you did, how does money actually end up in your pocket from that? And then the other thing that I hope you can take away from this is being able to understand that the dental practice is a business. You can be a really good dentist and not end up with much left over at the end of the day. You've got to run your practice like a business to be successful financially. So, in order to accomplish those objectives, we're going to follow these 3 things. Steps involved with acquiring a dental practice or starting a dental practice from scratch. How would you structure a dental practice and how would you get paid for your dental practice? And then, how does cash flow happen? And some key things to think about if you're going to start a practice. So, how many of you all anticipate owning your own practice someday? I guess most of the hands would be in this club. So, what I've got here on the screen are some steps for acquiring a practice. How many of you all are thinking that you would buy an existing practice instead of starting one from scratch? All right, how many want to start their own from scratch? Nobody? All right, very good, very good. Now, are you going to be a general dentist, or are you going to specialize? Okay. So there's pros and cons of each of those. What I'm going to talk about here is focused primarily on you're going to go out, look at a couple practices that are for sale, pick one, go through those steps to acquire it, and then you will take over. So as you can see here on the screen, you would identify some target practices. You want to get a bunch of financial information from them, analyze that, come up with a price, and some of these things on the screen here are very important aspects that I could spend an hour on each of these. But in general, you would have to form a separate entity aside from yourself, and that entity would be the thing that acquires the existing dental practice, the assets from the existing dental practice. And you need to form an organization, execute agreements, and then obtain tax ID numbers. So just like you have a social security number, your business needs a number with the federal government, and then the state government, and then the city and county governments, and that's where people like me come in to help keep all that straight. Stockyard folks are here, so I'm guessing most of you all don't have $700,000, $900,000 lying around to buy the practice, so you're probably going to have to borrow for all of it and then some. So acquiring financing is one of the main steps to get the ball rolling on starting a dental practice. And then you can see here on the screen some of these other key aspects, one of which would be a website and coming up with the marketing strategy. And I believe our speaker here is going to talk in depth about those topics. So I wanted to make sure to mention those as well. Okay, so if you're going to buy an existing practice, odds are you've got financial information that's showing, the results of that existing practice. But that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen when you acquire the practice. So we need to be thinking about what's going to be different once I acquire it and start running it. Are there procedures that experienced dentist is doing that I cannot do? Are they working 3 days a week and I only work 5 days a week? There's a lot of potential there. Are they taking insurances that I know I don't want to take? There's so many things that can modify those existing results. So what I've got here on the screen is column left is what's happening now or what's happened in the most recent year. And then these changes are assumptions such as revenues are going to go down in this particular assumption. And then odds are you borrow money to buy the practice and you've got $50 grand a year worth of loan payments that are going out the door. So in this hypothetical example, the owner is walking away with $250 a year before taxes. But once you would acquire it, you'd only be left with $110. And so you've got to figure out, can I live on that? If not, then I'm probably going to either negotiate a lower price or keep looking for a different practice. All right, so now we're going to shift a little bit into once you acquire the practice, then what happens? How do you get paid? How do you get your taxes paid? And so most practices are taxed as what's called a pass-through company. What that means is the activity of the practice, the revenues come in, the expenses get paid out, whatever's left over gets passed through to you, and you pay taxes on that money individually on your individual tax return. There's a couple different ways that can happen. If you do not elect for your business to be taxed as a partnership or a corporation, then it's what's called a disregarded entity, and it just goes on a separate schedule on your tax return. Most of you all probably file tax returns already. So there's a Schedule C where you report the income and expenses of the business. The profit will then be added to your other income you have to report for the year, and you pay taxes on it that way. So this is just a diagram here, just a real rudimentary layout. So for sole proprietorship, which is another term for Schedule C, you report your patient fees, you have your overhead expenses out the door, $200,000 left. Down here on the individual return, you report the $200,000 and pay taxes on it there. If your practice entity elects to be taxed as an S corp, you can pay yourself wages, meaning you get a W-2 for your own business. So in the same scenario here, you've got $200,000 left of profit. If you paid yourself wages of $150,000, then the business profit would be down to $50,000, but on your personal return, you have the same $200,000 you have to worry about taxes. I don't have time to to get into all the nuances of which way is better. It really depends on your exact back pattern. But then just to iterate or shine some light on the importance of the tax consequences of all this. In this example, if you're going to make $200,000, you've got about $50,000 worth of taxes to deal with. And if you operate your business all year long and don't worry about the taxes and you spend every bit of that $200,000, you're going to be up a creek without a paddle. So you need to be planning appropriately so that you're either having those taxes withheld from your pay or paying quarterly estimated tax payments towards that so that at the end of the year you don't have a humongous tax bill. I think this is the last thing that I've got slated for my session here, and it's just a typical, like a layout or example of a profit and loss report or an income statement for a dental practice. So I just threw numbers on here. Most of the time we're looking at this each month for our clients. So you can tack on a couple zeros to this and it could be a monthly P&L. So what happens is you do all your charges. Every day you're seeing so many patients, doing all the different procedures. Those charges are going out the door. You agreed to accept a lower reimbursement from insurance companies to see their patients. So there's write-offs for those gross charges, and what actually comes in the door is the cash that you're actually collecting from your patients. They don't have insurance, or from the insurance companies for those that are covered. So the $850 is what actually comes into your bank account, and then you've got to pay all these expenses from that money to operate the practice. So you've got staffing costs, facility costs, all your supply costs, and then all these other costs. And so when you're looking at a practice to buy, you need to be looking at all this and kind of projecting it out forward to see whether what's left at the end of the day is what you're after. And if not, then you need to either figure out ways to increase your top line, trim your expenses, and be planning for that. So if you've got these loan payments here, so let's say 10 years go by, every year goes by and these loans are paid and that loan drops off, well then that next year you have $50,000 more of cash each year than you had in those previous 10 years. So you want to be thinking about that ahead of time. Do I need to be investing in more equipment? Do I want to bring on an associate at that time? So I just kind of wanted to throw this out here as an example of a report that you, as a practice owner, would want to be looking at each month, comparing what you're actually doing to what you're budgeted, so you can see whether you're doing better or worse than what you anticipated, and be thinking about things in a forward-looking manner rather than just keeping track of everything behind. Or, some practices that come in and talk to me, they don't even look at any of this stuff really. I don't know how they operate their business, but they really just keep track of how much money's in their bank, and that's what they use to track everything. That's not a real good way to successfully run your business and knowing whether you're doing better or worse. So, planning is step one. Only a tiny little fraction there. You do a $1,000 crown procedure, and what's left is before taxes $175 for you. So you can see, some practices have a really good margin. That owners collect, keeping like 40-some cents on the dollar of what they collect. Other practices are not even keeping 20 cents. And it's all about how you structure your practice and run it. And you definitely want to be looking for the taxes because they can sneak up on you. I hear horror stories from, not from my clients, but from other firms' clients that are wanting to talk to me. So-and-so called me on April 14th and said I have to write a $70,000 check, and that's just not a good scenario. So I've got cards. I'm here in Lexington. We're in the big blue building, just right across the street. So I'm happy to talk to anybody if they have any specific questions about it.
We're going to talk tonight about marketing your practice online and growing your revenues in the era of AI. Okay. By the way, Louisville's logo for this council is much cooler than yours, I'm sorry to say. I'm being objective here, okay? I'm telling you the truth. This is much cooler logo. Okay, now, who am I and why am I talking to you? So, I was a dedicated dentist for 36 years. I had 3 practices in the New York area. They're pretty big practices. Thank God, did pretty well. Okay? But 15 years ago, we started a company called Doctors Internet. Why did we start this company? What did we do? We started this company because we as dentists had absolutely no idea what the hell we're doing when it comes to marketing or business. We were being taken advantage of. People see doctor in front of our names, they want to grab money from us. It was terrible. We really being taken advantage of. So we said, hey, you know what? We're going to do, we're going to start a company that by dentists, for dentists, to take care of marketing. And I'm going to explain why we needed to do that in a couple of seconds. Okay, so let's talk about growing your practices, your potential practices as we go up. This is among the most important things I'm going to tell you today. We're going to get to a couple other things which I really like to walk away from, but this is one of the most important things in terms of growing your practice. My father was a dentist. He graduated dental school in 1933. Okay? I graduated dental school 50 years after he did. Okay? He had me very, very old. Right? There was no such thing as marketing. In New York State, if you had anything but a 3x5 plaque in front of your office, it was illegal. They took away your license. So how do we get patients into our practices? The only way we got patients into our practices was by patient referral. It was Mrs. Smith telling Mrs. Jones that they love Dr. Gadea that we should come to. That was it. That's how we got 100% of our people. And I'm going to tell you that you guys open your practices, even though we live in a world of the internet, 80% of your patients are still going to come the same way by patient referral. It's not changing. Okay? 80% of your patients coming into your practice is going to be because Mrs. Smith told Mrs. Jones. So what's the purpose of marketing, internet marketing? Get that extra 20%. That extra 20% can make a big difference between being a successful practice and being a very successful practice, and we'll talk about why in a second. The only marketing that works nowadays is digital marketing. Now, there are people out there who say, I send out postcards to new people who live in the neighborhood that works. I have people out west who are doing billboards. You can try anything you want once. I have no objection. If it works, great, use it. But you have to prove to me that it works. Anything with marketing that you are doing and spending money for, you need to track the results. If you're not tracking the results in a scientific way, not in an anecdotal way, you're throwing money in the garbage. But digital marketing is really the only marketing that really kind of works nowadays. It's where you should concentrate most of your marketing thoughts. Okay. What is the lifetime value of a patient who's coming into your practice? The answer is nobody really knows. But if we read Dental Economics magazine, every month somebody thinks a different number. The lowest number I've heard, we're going to go with the lowest number for a second, is about $2,500 to $3,000. Why? Because they're not coming once. New patient comes in, they like you, they're coming back every 6 months. And even if they don't need anything, aside from checking for the cleaning and trophy, you're still making money on them. If they need implants and these other stuff, obviously it's much harder. But let's take that low number, $2,500. Okay? If I can get one patient to come in, it's worth $2,500. If I'm getting 3 patients a month, it's worth $7,500 minimum. Right? So I don't have to be the greatest marketer in the world to make this profitable, because you'll see what your costs are against what you spend. Again, you're going to look for an ROI, as we said before. It's return on investment. And marketing dollars are one of the cheapest, best expenses you could probably have in your office to drive new patients to the practice. I use what we call seeds to trees theory. So let's say I have an office in Lexington. Patient moved into Lexington, they're looking for a doctor, they find me online because I did everything that I'm going to do online. They come into my practice. Her name is Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones comes into the practice. Mrs. Jones likes me. Okay? Mrs. Jones keeps coming back. But it's not just Mrs. Jones, because if Mrs. Jones likes me, guess who else is coming in? Mr. Jones. You know who else is coming in? Little Jones children. All right? And Mrs. Jones just moved into an area where we developed it. There's neighbors. So Mrs. Smith just moved next to Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Smith moves in. What's one of the first questions she's going to ask? You know a good pediatrician, you know a good doctor, you know a good dentist. And if I impress Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Jones is going to say to Mrs. Smith, yeah, go see him there, he's pretty good. So not only did I get Mrs. Jones and Mr. Jones and the Jones children, I now have the Smith family as well. So this is what I call my seeds to trees. And this is a long-term project. Guys, we are opening dental practices. It's not like opening a restaurant on the corner. We have to succeed in a year. What we are doing is building careers. I have all of my practices for more than 30 years.
You're going to sign long-term leases. You're not going away in a year. You don't have to make a killing in your first year. It's growth. It's growth, it's growth, and it's steady growth, and you're climbing the ladder. That's really how you're going to build your practices. And that's what you should take away from this. I can't tell you how many young dentists I see who say, I got to make $2 million in the first year. It doesn't happen that way. That's not how we build practices. And if you start doing that, just thinking about making, how much money can I make on this patient, that's a great way to lose all your patients. Right? Patients want trust. Patients want a relationship with you. They don't want you to think you're selling them things. Okay. I'm going to go through all the stuff I learned about business in dental school. That's it. So I'm very happy. When Kevin called me to do this, I was thrilled to do this, okay? The first one, I'm down in South Florida, a guy from Nova Southeastern said, could you do a course on business with me? I said, I am thrilled to do it. Because when I went to dental school, it was a dirty word. If you ever mention the word money when I went to dental school, I went to NYU, when I went to dental school, they said, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about money. We're here to talk about patient care. Okay, fine. Went through dental school, didn't learn a thing about business. I did my residency, didn't learn a thing about business. What did I do the second after I left my residency? I looked to buy a practice. Why? Because I'm an idiot. Okay? You can't do that, all right? You really have to learn the ropes. I have no business acumen whatsoever. Okay? I made a lot of mistakes. I don't want you to make the mistakes I made. Okay? But you have to really understand what you're doing from a business perspective, because we are running a business. It's the hardest job in the world being a dentist, I will tell you. I run this business now, it's a joke compared to when I was a dentist. Being a dentist, you have to treat patients. Okay, you're treating 20 patients a day, you're doing 20 microsurgeries a day. If you're off by this much, you're screwed up. But you also have to worry about the fact that your office manager is having a fight with your system. The fact that someone didn't pay their bill. The fact that someone's carrying on in the waiting room. So you're running a business as well. Okay? So it's very important that you have a concept of running a business, not just doing dentistry. I'm going to give you my Dental Economics 101 lecture here, guys, today. Okay, here's how you make money in your practices. It's really simple. There are two ways of making money. One, drive new patients to the practice. You can use external marketing tools to do this, and you use your good reputation with people to get new patients to come into the practice. And the second way is get your existing patients to do more work in your office. That's it. If you can master these two things, you'll have a very successful practice. How do we get there? Let's talk about the marketing aspect. So what should you be spending on marketing? This is, again, dozens of studies. This is pretty much the average. So what they say, what the economists have said is you should be spending by the way, don't take pictures of these slides. You want the slide, I'll send you the slide. Don't bother. Relax, guys. It's Thursday night. Relax. Right? Okay. So what should you be spending? 3 to 5% of your gross. If you have $1 million practice, and I'm doing my math correctly, 3% is $30,000. $30,000 is $2,500 a month. You know how many people in my world are spending $2,500 a month for marketing? Very few. Okay? But they're not spending enough most of the time because we as dentists are very cheap people and we don't like to spend money. Every time we take a penny out of our pocket, we're not happy. It's a bad mistake. Okay? You got to spend to make, guys. Okay? And marketing is one of the best things you can spend on in terms of return on investment. Every dollar you spend in marketing, if you do it correctly, it's going to be a big return for you. So think about when you open your practices, you got to think about doing marketing. Okay, what are my goals? My goal is to drive new patients to your practice. How do I do that? Well, the first thing I need to do is build you a state-of-the-art website. What are you guys pitching? You're pitching state-of-the-art dentistry, state-of-the-art materials, state-of-the-art techniques, state-of-the-art practice. If you have a website which looks like it was built in 1962, people are not coming to you. They're not going to be impressed. And before anybody comes to you, they'll look at your website. I don't care how great the referral was. So you got to build your state-of-the-art website. We'll talk about what should be on there in a couple of seconds. Now go to state-of-the-art website. So that somebody who's heard about you knows your name may come to it. But somebody who's never heard about you is not going to find you. So I have to get this state-of-the-art website to the top of page 1 of a Google search. Because if you're not on page 1 of a Google search, no one's ever find you. Anybody in this room ever go to page 2 of a Google search? No. Okay? Especially you guys barely made it to the bottom of page 1. Okay? Got to be at the top of page 1 of a Google search. Okay. Just moved to the area, looking for a dentist in the area. I type dentist near me. I got you top of page 1 of the Google search. You open up the website, you say, wow, this is a pretty nice website, it looks good. Office hours are convenient. Right in my neighborhood, this looks terrific. What's the next thing I'm looking for? Reviews, okay? Reviews are critical. Everybody is looking at your reviews. Now,
Is it fair? No. Is it representative of your practice? No. Is it what people are looking at? Yes. Is it what people are judging you on? Yes. So you must establish an impeccable online reputation. And the way to do that, I'm going to show you the way to do that. It's the simplest, easiest way in the world. You need a continuous flow of positive Google reviews. We'll show you how to do it in a second. Okay. Got to page 1 of the search. I clicked on your website. You like the website? You go to the reviews. I got a ton of good reviews. Say, okay, this looks good. I'm going to pull this practice up. I must train your staff how to respond to these phone calls. I cannot tell you how many thousands of patients are lost a year because the staff is giving the wrong answers to the questions. I will give you an example. I'm accepting insurance in my practice, but I'm not on any patterns. But it means I'm going to work with the patient's insurance. So when a patient comes in, I'll work with their insurance, I'll send it into their company, they'll get paid what they're going to get paid, they'll pay me what they're going to get paid from the insurance company, and I charge them the difference. So, I have patients calling the office saying, hey, do you accept Metropolitan Insurance? Reception says, no, we don't. That's the end of the phone. That's not the right answer. The right answer is, we may not accept Metropolitan Insurance payment in full, but we will work with it. You may have a small out-of-pocket expense. Why don't you come in and see Dr. Newby? That's the conversation. And you must train the staff. So you have to train your staff, and this begins on day 1. How to train your staff, what questions to ask, what information to get, what information to give back to make sure that these patients convert. So those are the 4 ways we're going to get, the 4 tools we need to get the patient into the practice. Okay, what's your most important internet marketing tool? It's your website. Has to be state-of-the-art, has to be custom, has to be up to date. Now, what should your website look like? We first started building websites 15 years ago. What Google wanted to see was as much text as humanly possible. The more text you had, the happier Google was. Do any of you in this room read any text whatsoever? No. Okay. And the reason I say that is because I have 3 millennial children, and I know they read nothing. I have a staff of 60 in my office. They're all about your age, a little bit older. They read nothing. Okay, so go to the total 180. Okay, now, the less text you have on the site, the better. So when someone opens up your website, on the header should be all the information that a patient needs that they're looking for, within about 8 seconds. Why? The attention span is about 8 seconds in the American public. And it's getting lower and lower and lower than you live in the TikTok. Okay, now, there should be a request an appointment form. There should be office hours. You know, what the social media you can. But in this screen here, it should be all pertinent information in the drop-downs. So you want to know what services you provide, what insurances you take, what office policies, it should all be there. Once you get past the header, underneath there, you should be a little blurb about your practice, but I really want to see videos. Why videos? That's what everybody wants to see. So not reading anything. So there should be 2 kinds of videos on your homepage, at the bottom of your homepage, which are very pertinent and good. One is an introduction to the practice. So doctors should get on and say, this is how long I've been practicing in the area, this is our philosophy, these are the services we highlight, this is how, what our theories are about treating dentistry, whether, it's holistic, whatever it may be. It should be there. That's a good video. The second perfect video is a patient testimony. So if you have a patient who said, I was a dentophobic, I went to 15 dentists, none of them, I was unhappy everywhere. I went to, not coming to Dr. Newby, he's the best dentist ever. That's a great video to have. That's a driver of good patients in the practice. That should be your homepage. There's a lot of stuff we can go through. I don't have the time to do it tonight. I'm happy to do it with you guys anytime you want. You let me know. But that's just a little piece. Yeah. Which should also be on your website are educational videos. And I don't want them for educational purposes. I want them for case acceptance purposes. So, patient comes into my office, needs multiple implants. And a periodontist in my office is placing the implants. I don't say you need multiple implants. The first thing I do is tell them what their choices are. Say, hey, we're missing some teeth here. Hey, you know what? We have several different options for treating this. All of them have pluses and minuses. Let me go through it with you. Let me explain the pluses and minuses of this so that the patient can make an educated decision. If the patient thinks you're forcing a treatment plan down their throat, they're not going to be very receptive. But if I explain all the options, I say, we can do a removable denture. Okay? Obviously, there are pluses and minuses to it. We could do a fixed bridge, pluses and minuses to it. We could do implants, pluses and minuses to it. I explain the pluses and minuses, I explain the options, I say they're all going to be functional, and now it's up to you and me, patient-doctor relationship, to decide what we want to do what's best for you. And economics comes into it, obviously, but it's all important stuff to do. So you're educating your patient, and that's what you have to do. Don't shove treatment plans down your patient's throat. Patient comes in, needs multiple implants, she decides she wants to do the implants.
I say, okay, no problem. Before you do that, I want to walk you through the process. I will get her in for a 20-minute consult. I will explain the whole procedure. I have my models, I have my pictures, I show all the cute little stuff. I do my dog and pony show for the implants. And then I say, Mrs. Smith, you understand the procedures, I explained it. And Mrs. Smith says, Dr. Gandia, that's the best explanation of procedure I've ever heard in my life. Let me go home and speak to Mr. Smith tonight. We'll call you tomorrow and discuss it. Here's the truth of the matter, however. From the time it takes Mrs. Smith to walk from my operatory to the front desk, the woman forgot everything I told her about implants with one exception. Thank you. Okay? Now she goes home to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith says, so what do you say about dental implants? And Mrs. Smith goes, I forgot everything the man told me except for the fact that it cost me $25,000. It's not a great way to get case acceptance, guys. So what I do now on all our websites is I have educational videos with the 15 or 16 most important services that we provide. Now I say to Mrs. Smith, I still do my dog and pony show. I still show her the models, except at the end of my 20-minute little presentation, I don't say to Mrs. Smith, you understand the procedures I explained, and I tell her the truth. I say, Mrs. Smith, I gotta tell you the truth. By the time you get to the front desk, you'll forget everything I told you about dental implants. So when you go home tonight, sit down with Mrs. Smith, go to the website, look at the dental implant video, 60 to 90 seconds, nothing beyond that, all illustrations, no blood and guts, no one ever wants to see blood and guts on a video. Right? Now they understand it, they appreciate it, they get it, case acceptance goes up. Another thing you must have on your website are befores and afters. And I'll tell you a story that really happened. Befores and afters are very important. So before you're doing any big case, take a before picture. If the case comes out nice, put up the after. If the case doesn't come out nice, don't put up the before. They're not all going to be home runs, guys, I'm telling you right now, okay? Not all of them work out the way you planned, okay? But put up the nice cases. Why do I say this? I was doing a lecture in New Jersey. One of the sponsors was Bank of America. The guy comes up to me afterwards and goes, you know what you said about those before and after pictures? It really works. He was a guy who wanted veneers his whole life. He saved up money to do veneers, and he was going to the same dentist for 25 years. And he looked on the dentist's website, and there were no pictures of befores and afters of veneers. He was talking to his friends at lunch with his friend, and said, you know what, I'm looking to get dental veneers. I don't know if you're going to make dentists. I don't know what you do. So his friend said to him, look at my dentist. He's the greatest dentist of all time. Look at his website. He looked at his website. There were 20 cases of veneers that looked beautiful. The guy switched dentists. Now, for all we know, the first dentist was the premier veneer guy in the country, but he didn't have any pictures of him. So befores and afters are very important. Anybody have any questions up to now? We good? You all hear me? Over there? Okay. Next thing is the chat feature. The chat feature is something I never used to recommend because it used to be very expensive. But now, with AI, we can create a chat feature for you very inexpensive. Why do I want a chat feature? I want a chat to have. Why are they good to have? Well, studies have shown that potential patients spend 38% more time on websites that have chat than don't. Why is that important to me from a marketing perspective? Because one of the things that Google is looking at now is something called enhanced engagement. Enhanced engagement means the more time people spend on your website, the more authority Google's granted. And obviously, if you have chat, people spend more time on your website. Why? If you don't have chat, they're scrolling through, they're out of there in 5, 10 seconds. If you have chat, you've initiated chat, it's at least going to take you a minute. So I want to use it for that reason. Second reason is studies have shown that people who use chat convert better. And the last reason is customizing for your practice, but it also increases, it's a lead generator. So the first question I'm going to ask you on chat is, are you an existing patient or a new patient? If it's an existing patient, it takes them down one path. My whole goal is to get my staff to call them and get them into the office. If it's a new patient, you know what the first question I ask them is? Give me your name, give me your phone number, give me your email address. And that's going to get sent immediately to my staff as an email. What did I just do? I just generated a lead. Now the first thing tomorrow morning, my staff's going to call up this person, went on the chat and say, hi, can we help you? How can we get you to the office? Anyway, you can come in for a consult, what would you like? All right, I just generated a lead, just by having a chat. Okay, I just built you a beautiful website. It's really, really nice, it's state-of-the-art, it's cool. Everybody loves it. Unless I get you to the top of page 1 of a Google search, it's absolutely meaningless, it doesn't help you. So the question is, how do I get you to the top of page 1 of a Google search? And there are 3 places you can appear on a Google search. This is Google Ads, this is paid advertising. This is Google Maps, and this is organic search. These two, Google Maps and organic search, no matter how many people click on you, doesn't cost you a dime. So my goal as an internet marketing company is to get you to the top here and to get you to the top here. Google Ads costs money. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. But we're going to start from the bottom and see how you get to the top in organic search. The same way that you guys are trying to build a wonderful reputation for your practices, I have to build a wonderful reputation for your website. You have to impress hundreds of patients. I have to impress one entity and one entity only. That entity is Google. Google calls all the shots. Google makes all the rules. Google's the internet king whom I must bow down to on a daily basis. Is this something I thought I would do as in dental school 40 years ago? No! Is that the way the world works now? Yes! So I got to do what Google wants. So what does Google want? Google has about 200 specific items they want me as an internet marketing company to address on a daily basis. They say to me, hey Josh, what's the big deal? 200 items, why don't you just go do it? And I'll tell you it's not so simple. Why is it not so simple? Because Google changes these 200 items around every single day. They make major rule changes every 6 to 8 months and minor rule changes on a daily basis, and they don't tell us about it. Why don't they tell us about it? Well, if Google put out a list every morning and said, okay, internet marketing companies, here's what we want you to do, every internet marketing company in their right mind would do it, and Google would have no way of determining who is doing a good job and who is doing a bad job. So what Google does is they change the rules around, and then they want us to see which internet marketing companies can figure out the rule changes. The ones that can figure it out gain authority with Google. Their websites go higher in search. The ones that don't, drop in authority with Google. So the way I like to explain this, the way dentists can understand it, because when I speak to dentists, I'm not as smart as you guys, goes way. Okay? So, the way I explain this is follows. For every dental practice out there, there's a guy at Google with a checklist. And on this checklist are 200 items, each corresponding to one of Google's rules. What's my goal as an internet marketing company? Get you as many checks as I can on a daily basis. The more checks I get you, the more likely you are to appear at the top of page 1 of Google search. The fewer checks I get you, the less. And that is the whole internet marketing game right there. You got to figure it out. Not only 200 things are the same. So when we're talking about search engine optimization, so search engine optimization is the umbrella term of these 200 items that Google's looking to do. It involves a ton of stuff. I'm not going to get into it. We have more important things to talk about. But this is what's changing all the time. AI has changed the whole world of what's going on about this. Google wants things in coding. They want to optimize things differently. They want your business listings to be the same. They have performance scores that we have to do. All this stuff needs to get done. That includes 200 items. Okay? Again, spend a lot of time on it. But first, we'll talk about social media. We're going to talk about social media in 2 ways this evening. Way number 1 is using social media as a tool to get a check on Google's checklist. And way number 2, which we'll talk about a little bit later, is using social media as a tool to get more patients into your practice. Well, let's talk about this first. Google has specific requirements, which they require of an internet marketing company of dental practice to have linked to their website. Google wants to link your website to Facebook, Instagram, and a thing called Google Posts, which is Google's social media platform. And they want to see 1 posting a week. That's on the checklist. Do I trust my dentist to do this? Hell no. Why? Because every dentist don't do say, yeah, my staff will take care of it, my staff will take care of it. The staff's not taking care of it. The staff's taking care of it for about 3 weeks and then they're not doing it. Okay? So your internet marketing company should write these posts because they can also optimize. All right? 1 a week should be on your website. That's it. That's the Google requirement for social media. The next thing is a blog. The blog is a 250 to 500 word article which describes the services you provide and where you are providing them. Do I think anybody's reading the blog? There's not a soul in the world who's reading it. Why am I writing the blog? I'm writing it for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, Google wants me to write a blog. They want 1 a month to write a blog. The second reason is we use it for SEO purposes. So, I'm going to ask you in the beginning, when I start out with you, give me 20 keywords you want to show up on and search for. Dentist in my neighborhood, cosmetic dentist in my neighborhood, family dentist in my neighborhood, tooth whitening in my neighborhood, dental implants in my neighborhood, fixed bridges in my neighborhood, whatever, emergency dentist in my area, all good. I'm going to try and climb this ladder and get you top of page 1 organically. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult. Depends where you are, depends what my competition is. In order to help me optimize where I'm going, I a lot of times use the blog. I would put text into the blog, which we're going to use AI to try and optimize so that Google recognizes and we get authority. That's why I use the blog. Okay. That's organic search. Any questions, guys? You're either sleepy or I'm telling the right story. Okay, here we go. Next, reviews. This is called Google Maps. There are 3 people in there. It's called the snack pack. Why is it called the snack pack? I have no idea. All right, but it's called the snack pack. Anybody can appear there. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. I want you to get there on an ongoing basis. I want you to be there all the time. How do I get you there? The only way we know how to get you into that snack pack on a consistent basis is a continuous flow of Google reviews. Google reviews are becoming more and more important to Google's analysis of you and how they rate you. We're going to talk about reviews. If you take away one thing from this lecture tonight, this is it, guys. Your internet marketing company is to be able to do practically everything that you need. You know what it's not going to be able to get for you? Reviews. Right? So let's talk about reviews and why we don't get them. And this is point number one, which I really want you guys to remember. When you open a practice, anything you do as a routine in your practice is going to get done as a routine. Anything, trust me on this one, anything you don't do as a routine ain't never getting done. So if I'm autoplaying my instruments at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock every day, they get autoplay 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock every day. Why? I've set up a routine. If I order my dental supplies from Patterson on the 1st and 15th of every month, they get ordered the 1st and 15th of every month. Why? I've set up a routine. Anything I don't do as a routine in my practice, trust me when I tell you this, ain't never getting done. Reviews have fallen into that category. Reviews are too critical for it to be in that category. Let's explain why reviews are important. Reviews are important for two reasons. Reason number one, I don't care how great a referral was to your practice. Before a new patient comes, they're looking at your reviews online. And we know that's true. You guys do it with restaurants, you do it with hotels, you do it with everything. Okay? And you're going to trust what's being said online. The second reason is, this is among the most important thing that Google looks at, is this continuous flow of reviews. Everything about Google is about doing things continuously. You can't do it once and then not do it. So it's a continuous flow of reviews. What's the number I tell my dentist I want to get? How many reviews a week? I want at least 2 a week. That's it. It's not undoable by any stretch of imagination. I'm not asking for too much. 2 reviews a week. People say, what if I can't get 2 reviews? I say, if you can't get 2 people to like you during the week, we have bigger problems. Okay? 2 reviews a week is what I'm looking for. How do we get it? Well, if you ask most other internet marketing companies how do you get reviews, here's what they're going to tell you. At the end of the day, we're going to take all the patients you saw today and send them a text and an email and ask them to write you a review. It's a horrible way to get reviews. Why is it a horrible way to get reviews? 3 reasons. Reason number one, you just lost control of the process. You just now put control of the process into your patient's hands. If they write the review, they write the review. They don't write the review, you don't know. Reason number two, I know what I do at the end of the day. I had a crazy day. I'm really busy. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. What I want to do, I want to go home and relax. But before I relax, before I get into relaxation mode, what am I doing? I'm checking my texts and my emails. You know which are the first ones I'm deleting? People asking me to do stuff. I'm not doing it. I'm not writing a review. I'm not filling out a survey. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I don't care how happy I was with the service. I don't care how happy I was with the practice. I'm not doing it. And the third reason is, and this really only applies to dentists, not everybody was happy to see me today. Let's say I did an endo on Mr. McKenzie on number 15. Very nice endo. Got the MB1, I got the MB2. I did a really good job. I'm very proud of myself. I pat myself on the back. I sent my endodontist friend the x-ray. It's not a good endo. He says, really good endo. Does Mr. McKenzie know it was a good endo at the end of the day? No. You know what Mr. McKenzie knows? He's in pain. He's swollen. He couldn't eat dinner. Do I really want him getting a, hey, how about thinking do you do today? No. So never like the system. So create a system to get this to be routine. I have 2 protocols and I have 3 rules. 1, I need to make it simple and routine for your staff to get them. Number 2, I need to make it idiot-proof for your patients to write them. And I don't care if every single one of your patients is a Nobel Prize winner. More than 1 click, they ain't doing it. Too complicated. They're simply not doing it, especially if they're my age. Okay, it's not happening. All right, so I had to create a 1-click system, which is really easy for your staff to do and done on a routine basis that you can manage. How do we do it? Well, the first thing you have to do when you start your practice is I want you to do this day 1. Pick someone in your office who's going to be responsible for getting reviews. Who are good candidates? Your office manager is a wonderful candidate. Your receptionist is a wonderful candidate. Your hygienist is a wonderful candidate. Why are these 3 people wonderful candidates? Because they all have good relationships with the patients. They all have chat time, especially buying into an existing practice. You're probably keeping these people, have a relationship. The other people are going to tell them to stay with you. Okay? They already have good relationships with the patients. So, my office, person responsible was my receptionist, her name is Susan. Okay? So what I did was, here's what you got to do. You just have to establish a routine. So I open my practice Monday mornings at 9 o'clock. 1 minute to 9, every single, I had dentrix in my practice. 1 minute to 9 every single Monday morning. I sat down with Susie, we opened up dentrix. We looked at our schedule for the week. I identified 5 or 6 people who we know love me. Mrs. Smith is coming Tuesday, Mr. Jones is coming Wednesday, Mr. Taylor is coming Thursday, Mr. McKenzie is coming Friday, Mr. Schwartz is coming Saturday. In dentrix in the right-hand corner, put a little X next to the name. Now Susie knows she has to ask these people when they come in. So the first rule, I handpick the patients to come in before they even came in that day. Number two, I want to point them to the place where reviews going to do me the most good. The only place I really care about, with the exception of the state of California, which is a bizarre place to begin with, okay, is Google. Three, I want the patient to write a review while they're standing in the office and to be accepted as a legitimate review. Anybody here from California? Did I find anybody? Okay, how am I going to do it? On Susie's desktop, I'm going to create a plaque that looks like this. So the name of my practice, a little logo, have a little tap on it. We never use the keyboard. Okay? People don't like keyboard. Well, now, what do we do? So Susie now comes into the office Tuesday morning. She opens up the entrance. She sees a little highlight next to Mrs. Smith's name. She knows she has to ask Mrs. Smith for a review. Mrs. Smith walks into the office. She says, "Hi, Mrs. Smith, how are you?" Mrs. Smith says, "Great to see you, Susie. What's going on?" Susie says, "Dr. Nadia is going to be with you in a couple of seconds. Could you do us a favor to really help the practice out?" Mrs. Smith goes, "Oh, I love that. Yeah, we can do it. I'm happy to help you." Something really, really simple. In a second, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to tap your phone against a little tap on. What you do, it's going to be our review page. Why are you standing here chatting with me? Can you type us a quick review? Sure, why not? She's going to walk over, she's going to tap her phone against there. My Google review page comes up. Did you get it, Mrs. Smith? I sure did. Can you tap us a quick review? Absolutely. We've been coming down from here for years, love them, we never go elsewhere. She's going to hit 5 stars and she's going to hit submit. Here's the trick. Since it came from Mrs. Smith's phone, it's Mrs. Smith's IP address, not the office's IP address, and therefore Google will accept it as a legitimate review. Simple enough? Yeah? What have I accomplished my 3 goals so far? Goal number 1, I handpick the patients to get the reviews. These are people who I know love me. Okay? They're going to go out. Number 2, I point them to a place I want the review to go. Again, I want 2 Google reviews a week. How many people did I tell you to identify? 5 or 6. Why did I tell you 5 or 6? Because not everybody's going to cooperate, and not everybody can write a Google review. In order to write a Google review, you have to have either a Gmail account or a Google account. Now in New York, 95% of people do. In Kentucky, probably 90%. But some people don't. Okay, so before Susie says to Google, you have a Google account. If she doesn't, I'll send it to Facebook, I'll send it to Google. If she does, I'll send it to Google. Number 3, I had the patient write the review while they were standing in the office. Why is it important? It's important for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, I need to get Susie into the routine. So next Monday morning at 1 minute to 9, I'll say, "Susie, how many reviews did we get last week? Let's pick another 5 or 6 people this week." The following Monday, 1 minute to 9, the same thing. The following minute, 1 minute to 9, for the rest of my life. Why? I just established a routine. It's very important. I'm going to incentivize Susie. I turn this into a game. Officers love this. I say, "Susie, hey, we're going to play a little game. I just gave you a new job to do. It's a new responsibility. Let's have a little time test. Any month we get more than 8 Google reviews, $25 gift card to Starbucks." They like it. It's a nice incentivize. The second reason I want Mrs. Smith to write the review while they're standing in the office is, I don't care how much Mrs. Smith loves me. The second she walks out that front door, she's not writing me the review. Why? There's a million things to do. She has to go back to work, she has to pick up her kids, she's meeting her husband for lunch, whatever it may be, she's not going to write the review. I want you to get the reviews on the inbound before you saw the patient. Why? She's standing in the waiting room. She's got no place to go. I have a captive audience. She's got nothing else to do. That's what you get. If you wait till the end, you're not right. That is reviews, guys. Is it clear, simple, easy? Very important. It's really the only thing that you, as dentists, can help me as a marketer with. But you got to do it. It's really important. It's becoming more important. Any questions on this? Yes, sir.
How do you deal with like 1-star reviews that you got?
Okay, so we'll talk about, so the answer, I'll answer the dealing with reviews right now. I don't want to get too much into it, but again, we'll talk about it. Okay, so the answer is, there's no set answer. The answer is it depends who it was from, okay? So this is a gray issue, it's not a black and white issue. So let's take 2 examples. Example number 1, a patient who has been a patient of mine for 20 years, we have a wonderful relationship. I screwed up today, and made them wait in my waiting room for 2 hours. They got pissed. They went home, they said, "You see, I kept me waiting for 2 hours, my time is as valuable as his time is ridiculous." Getting 1-star review. I am immediately calling up that patient, saying, "I screwed up, you were 100% right, it was totally careless what we did, it was a mess up on my part, we were running behind, that's not your fault, that's my fault, I should have called you up, I should have given you the opportunity to reschedule or tell you to come in later. I didn't, I messed up, I apologize. You know me for 20 years, you know it's never happened before, it's not gonna happen again. Next time when you come in, you let me know you're out, that should be out permanently. Could you do me a favor, just please take down the reviews real quick? 90% of the time that works. On the other hand, if the patient never saw me before, who came in and didn't think she had to pay any money, was told she had to pay a copay, and all of a sudden they get violent, because that's where they're gonna get violent, trust me. That either is a thief, he is a bait and switch guy, he's a terrible human being, he's horrifying. I'm never winning that battle. Okay? Never met the person, right? There's no reason to respond to that. You don't want to continue the conversation. Okay, you want it to die. So what do I do with that 1-star review? I dilute it. So instead of getting 2 reviews next week, I'm going to get 6 reviews. And the following week I'll get 6 reviews. And the following week I'll get 6 reviews. So that way, people look chronologically, no one's scrolling down to find your 1-star review. And also people know that people are crazy, that people are lunatics. And if I have 4.98 rating, and there's one person who a year and a half ago wrote that I'm a terrible human being, I can live with that. And so people understand that, okay? People think it's the patient who's not standing, all right? And that's how you do it. There's no black and white. Okay. You got the reviews, let's post them. Okay, so there's a cool new thing out with the reviews widget. What we can do is we do real-time reputation monitoring, which means that we monitor about 60 different dental review platforms. Anytime a review comes in for your practice, you get an email from us. Anything under a 4-star review in my company, we call you immediately, say, hey, how do you want to deal with this? But if it's a 5-star review, I want to take advantage of it. So we filter out the 5-star reviews, and we post it to the homepage of your website in real time. So this is the bottom of the homepage of your website. This is very nice for a new patient to look at, because they say, wow, people liked it yesterday, 3 days ago, 5 days ago, 7 days ago. The second thing we do with 5-star reviews is we take those 5-star reviews, filter them, and post them to your social media. So not only am I writing you the 1 posting that we require a week, now if you give me 2 reviews, and I have 3 postings a week. Is I think this is a big drive in practice? No, I don't. But it's more activity on your website. More activity on your website, people like to see more. Okay. That's the real-time reputation of it. Okay. AI has totally revolutionized our business. It's crazy. I have a meeting every Wednesday. I have a staff of 60. Okay? It's me and my partner who are old men, and then everybody else is like a little bit older than me. So it's like I have 60 children. It's not that much fun most of the time, okay? But it's good. These guys are really brilliant, okay? The stuff they're talking about goes so far over my head, it's not even funny. We have a meeting every Wednesday. What's new with AI? AI has transformed this whole crap thing. It's transformed with Google too. So now Google is using their AI to figure out a bunch of stuff. So AI can be used as a predictive tool, it can be used as an enhancement tool, it can be used as a reporting tool. What's a predictive tool? You're opening a practice in Lexington, and you want to say to me, hey Josh, I want to do stuff with you. Where do you think I should focus? Should I focus organically? Should I do paid advertising? What do you think? I am now going to be able to look at all the websites. I don't want to use, we never use the word competition in dentistry. It's not competition. And all the other dentists in the area, I'll see what they're doing. If I see that they're performing really well and doing everything we have to do, which I'll show you the health dashboard in a second, I'm going to tell you, you know what? We have a little bit difficult to get you by that organically, because then I can predict what's going to be good enough. If, however, I see that in your area, everybody's doing a stinking job, I'll say, don't spend a lot of money, do this organically to get to the top right away. So as a predictive tool, it's wonderful. Okay? And we developed a thing called a health dashboard. We monitor between 45 and 50 different metrics that Google looks at. And I can monitor them for all of those, quote, competing dental websites and see how they're doing. And then I can build your website with those things in mind to try and do better than the 45 to 50. So as a predictive tool, it's very good. As an enhancement tool, it's also very good because we can track exactly where you are. So I can see you give me 20 keywords, I can show you where you were last month, this month, today, yesterday, did you go down, did you go up? And I can therefore make changes in my SEO to make sure that I'm getting the top of the page search. But I can now have such an analytical tool that it makes my life, it makes it harder, but it makes it easier. And I can look at all the local ranking keywords. So these are 20 keywords, it's week by week, as you can see. This is where we were, we're at 1, we went down to 2, let's get you back up to 1, we were at 8, let's get you back up to 4. We can see where we are for every keyword. And as a reporting tool, you can see all the analytics you want. I can tell you how many people looked at your site this month, I can tell you how much time they spent on it, I can tell you what pages they spent on it, how much time they spent on a page. If they're looking at a particular service, maybe you want to highlight that service. We have all these tools now with AI. It's incredible what you can do. As I was telling Kevin before, I used to have all my reps write proposals to their customers. Now, they're brilliant kids, okay? But like the rest of you, none of you do have sense of English. Okay, I'm telling you right now. None of you have sense. Okay? My mother was an English teacher and a grammarian, okay? You guys can't write. Right? So I have them do all the proposals to me. Every time the proposals come to me, I have to do all these grammatic changes, because you people don't know how to use periods, don't know how to use commas, don't know how to use any of those things, right? So I have to take care of it. 3, 4, 5 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, I had one of my reps do a proposal, he did a proposal for me. He sent it to me, I said, this is perfect, you didn't write this. He goes, AI, all right? And that's what we can see, you're actually using, you still have to edit it, but it's much better. That's AI. Okay, now, up until now, we've been talking about search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is the organic way to get your article search. That's what we're going to do with reviews, it's what we're going to do with all that stuff at the bottom of the page with the SEO, doing it every day, every week, every month, every quarter. And only after they see you doing it continuously, they're going to reward you. So it's going to be a slow climb, it's climbing a ladder. How tall the ladder is, I never know. Every zip code is going to be different for any particular keyword, any particular ladder. That's search engine optimization. We're now going to talk about search engine marketing. Search engine marketing is paid advertising. We're going to talk about several tools, some of which have been around for a while and are pretty predictable. Some of them are absolutely ridiculous. They're new and they're bizarre. I'll get into it. So this is called Google Ads. Are you guys familiar with Google Ads? Right. For the most part, if you said to me, hey Josh, I want to run a tooth whitening campaign. Any of them ready? I got a cool new tooth whitening situation in there. I got somebody's going to do it. I have a really great return on investment on this tooth whitening. I want 1 million people to come in between now and next summer for tooth whitening. Is there any way you can guarantee me organically that within a 10-mile radius of my office, I'm going to be the top of page 1 organically? The answer is there's absolutely no way I can guarantee that organically going to go there. This is something you say to me, okay, you can't do that. Is there any way I can pay for it? The answer is yes, using Google Ads. We're talking about Google Ads, we're talking about Facebook Ads, we're talking about website retargeting, a thing called email capture, and a thing called meta boosted posts with retargeting, which is just insane, which you guys will say is crazy. And that's crazy. Let's talk about Google Ads for a second. Google is very smart. This is how Google makes trillions of dollars a year. What they do is they say, hey, you know what? I think Dr. D is going to want to be at the top of page 1 for tooth whitening in his area. What they do is they reserve geography at the top of page 1 of the search, and they sell those spaces. They sell it in the form of an auction, but it's not like an auction that you and I are familiar with where you bid $100, $200. They have algorithms. And they know that if they put me at the top of search, X number of people are going to click on me, and every time someone clicks on me, they charge me money. That's how Google makes money. How much do they charge you? It's all dependent on supply and demand. So if there are 50 people in my area who are bidding for tooth whitening in the area that day, it's going to be a very expensive click. If there are 4 people bidding for those 3 spots, it's going to be a very inexpensive click. So every day, the price of a Google ad click goes up and down. Now, generally, they have a range. We'll give you a range. It's not going to go from $5 to $50, but it could be between $6 and $10. Yeah, here's a big mistake people make. When you guys get into practice, you'll get an email from Google every week. Why don't you run a Google ad campaign with us? Never run a Google ad campaign with Google. Why? Fox in the henhouse. Okay, they don't want to run a good campaign. First of all, they know nothing about that. Secondly, they don't want to run a good campaign. What are they trying to get? They're trying to get as much money to that as possible. So they'll tell you, yes, start with a $500 budget. Well, that's not working. Go to a $1,000 budget. Well, that's not working. Go to a $2,000 budget. Okay? You're feeding their coffers for no reason. Right? So only do Google ad campaigns with people who just do Google ads for dental practice. That's it. When you set up the campaign, when I talked to you before about website and SEO, I told you to take care of everything. The thing I have to worry about is reviews. But if you're paying for something in terms of ads, you better get involved. You have to do a strategy in review. You have to pick a budget and what you're willing to spend, the max per spend per cost. Now, if I'm doing a dental implant ad, I'm willing to spend more because dental implants will bring me more money than if I was doing one just for an emergency dentist. So maybe I would spend $8 a click for an implant because it's a lead, as opposed to $4 a click for an emergency dentist. Okay, so maybe I would, but it's something you have to discuss with the team in the studio. A big mistake that people make is that don't have the ad matching text. So, for argument's sake, just talk about doing a tooth whitening campaign. So I'm doing a tooth whitening campaign. I get you top of page 1 of research, click on it, click on the tooth whitening ad, it takes me to the home page of my website. That's terrible. Why is that terrible? Because there may not be anything about tooth whitening on the home page of my website. It may not be until that services navigation button, which no one's going to hunt for. Why? Because the attention span is about 8 seconds. So if they don't see tooth whitening in 8 seconds, they're gone. That's terrible because it just cost me money. The guy clicked on me, he didn't even see the service I'm looking for. Next thing to think about. There are two other people who you got who have Google ads against you. Why should I pick you? I don't know any of the three of you. Why are you any better than the rest of them? Put it on the ad. So what makes you special should be on there. So if you're open in the evenings, put that open in the evenings. If you're open on Sundays, put that open on Sundays. If you're giving 10% off of the service, put that you're giving 10% off of the service. This is all wonderful, this is all great, this is all terrific. So the way to do this, to get the thing the right way, is to create what we call landing pages. So what a landing page means is that for every service that you can do a Google ad for, there should be a mini website for that particular service. So if I'm doing a Google ad for tooth whitening, it should be a tooth whitening landing page. If I'm doing it for dental implants, it should be a dental implant landing page. If I'm doing it for Invisalign, it should be an Invisalign landing page. Got it? Good? Alright, now, what am I missing? I am missing whether this is effective or not. Remember I told you before, try anything that you want, but you have to prove to me you have to track the results. So you must track the results. If you're doing a Google ad campaign and say, well, I gave it to somebody to do it, I think they're doing a good job, that's throwing money at the garbage. You have to be able to track the results yourself. How do we track the results? We track the results in two ways. We create what's called a call tracking phone number. You guys familiar with call tracking phone numbers? What a call tracking phone number means, I'm going to put a different phone number on the ad. It's going to ring right into your office. Your staff won't know the difference, the patient won't know the doctor won't know the difference. The only difference is, now when I'm doing my reports on the Google ad campaign, I can tell the doctor exactly how many people called that phone number, and these phone calls will get recorded, and you can actually listen in on the phone calls and see if the patient made an appointment. So if I'm doing my monthly report with you for Google Ads, I can say, okay, these are the calls that we got, let's listen to the calls, this many people made an appointment. Now everybody's going to call the phone number. Why? It's 11 o'clock at night, that's why I'm looking for my tooth whitening services. I'm not going to call a phone number, no one's going to pick up. So on that ad should also be a contact us form. Say, Mr. Smith, 5555555, email Mr. Smith at Gmail. I'm interested in the service tooth whitening. Can someone please call me from the office? It's going to hit submit. It's going to get sent to the office as an email. Your staff should call them first thing in the morning, but I will be able to tell the doctor how many people filled out the forms. So when I'm doing my report to the doctor, I can tell how many people filled out the forms. I'll have their names. We can see if they made appointments. I know how many people called. I'll listen in on the phone calls. We'll see if they made appointments. And in this way, we can measure whether this is a Google ad campaign. Got it? Google ads. Any questions, guys? This is what a Google, this is a tooth whitening ad, okay? This is the before, this is the after. What makes them special? This particular office is giving $100 off from this other thing. Phone number, 201-380-4499 is not the regular phone number. It's Dental Care of Bridgewood. It's a call tracking phone number. It's going to ring right into their office, but I'll be able to tell the doctor exactly how many people call that number. They can listen to the calls. This is the contact us form. When it's submitted, it's sent as an email. I can tell the doctor the email. This is just a header. Under this, there'll be a whole information about tooth whitening. If it was implants, it'd be all about implants. If it was Invisalign, it'd be all about Invisalign. That's Google Ads. The next thing is retargeting. Are you guys familiar with retargeting? It happens to every single one of you every day. You're looking for a pair of shoes online. You look into different stores. You say, you know what, nice, but I'm not buying them this week. I'll go back next week, maybe we'll do that. You forget about it. 3 hours later, you're looking online at a totally different website with nothing to do with the shoes. What pops up? Ads for the shoes. How do they do that? Okay? If anybody thinks they have any privacy in this country, you do not. You are being followed around every single second of every day. We are living in George Orwell's 1984, and I'm many people read that, but we know that. Okay. All right, now, no privacy. So how do they do it? Every single computer has a thing called an IP address. An IP address is unique to that computer. It's like a digital fingerprint. There are companies that track your IP addresses, see where you're going, stalk you all day, and then place ads for you. Okay? That's retargeting. Okay? How do we use it in dental? It's easy. All right? Now, what's the goal? Someone's looking at your website. Okay? I just moved to the area, just moved to Lexington. I'm looking for several different dentists. I go to 5 or 6 or 7 different websites. I'm probably not making a decision today. The problem is that 97% of people who look at your website don't make a commitment. What's a commitment in the dental world? I didn't call the call tracking phone number. I didn't fill out the contact us form. I didn't fill out the request for phone number. I looked at the website and left. 97% of those people don't come back. So what we want to do is we want to track these people, follow them around, stalk them, and put marketing to them. There's a thing called the rule of 7. The rule of 7 says that if you see an ad for my practice 7 times after you've shown interest, you probably would call me back. It's unique. It's a rule for all marketing. Okay? And it makes sense. All right? If you keep seeing the ad, looking for dentists, and the ad for the dentist keeps popping up, you probably go to them first. All right, so here it is, we're trying to engage people with your site. Visitor comes, you look at 7 or 8 different websites, they leave, they're probably not coming back. If I market to them, they're probably coming back. That's retargeting. Let me give you an example. This is a guy down in Tampa, a young guy, great practice. Okay? During COVID, 2 guys on this block were my age said, that's it, we're done, closed up shop, didn't sell the practices. He said to himself, this is a wonderful opportunity for me. Why? There are now hundreds of neighborhood people who will be looking for dentists. How are they going to find a dentist? They're going to look online, they look at several different websites. They're not going to probably not pick that night, but he wanted, once they looked at the site, to keep being reminded. So this person wants us to gas and dental, they didn't do anything about it. But a week later, they looked at the Weather Channel, look what popped up. He found it to be a very successful campaign. Very expensive, by the way. That's retargeting. Now, when we talk about retargeting, with the 2 newest things out there, they're both crazy, and then we're going to call it a night. Okay? All right. Another interesting tool is called email capture. What is my goal as an internet marketing company? My goal as an internet marketing company is to get as many people as humanly possible to look at your website on a daily basis. The more people who look at your site, the more likely you are to get new patients in the practice. That's internet marketing. Okay, so we're going to take K&K Dental. K&K Dental, we did an analytics report. We found that in this month they had 963 sessions. What's a session? Someone looked at his website. Now, are all of these new patients? Absolutely not. Most of them are probably existing patients. They forgot the phone number, they forgot the directions to the office, they want to see it over on Thursday afternoon, whatever it may be. So let's arbitrarily say that 2 out of every 3 people who look at the site are existing patients. I'm doing my math correctly, that's 642. That leaves me 321 potential new patients. The K&K Dental got 321 new patients last month. Yeah. Why? Because the thing called a bounce rate. This is a typically low bounce rate for dental office. The bounce rate for typical dental office is about 75%. The bounce rate means someone looked at your site but didn't make the commitment. They didn't call, they didn't fill out a contact with someone, they didn't make any contact with you at all, they didn't give you any information. Kind of depressing when you think about it. 75% of every 4 people who look at your site left, didn't come back. Wouldn't it be, it's not so terrible. Why is it not so terrible? Because they did indeed search you. They did show interest in your services. They did visit your website. And even though they didn't pull the trigger today, maybe in the next couple months, maybe they just moved to the area, they just had to check, the whole family had checkups and cleanings in September, they moved here in November, they're not going to need a checkup till May. Maybe their insurance doesn't kick in until January. But they're interested. Wouldn't it be great, but believe it, we're not going to remember us, wouldn't it be great if we could find out who these people were, do continuous marketing to them, and get them to come in? Couldn't do it ever before, now you can, using a thing called email capture. How do we use email capture? Basically, someone was to decide we're going to try and capture the email. So we capture it all the time. Again, it's to the IP address. So the email's not linked to the IP address. About 30 or 40% of the time. 30 to 40% of the time, with 321 people, is still a really good number. Okay? I'm then going to compare it to see if it's a new patient or an existing patient. If it's an existing patient, we go into my dentures and see if it's an existing patient, and put it on the slide for you. Any new patient, we're immediately going to send a welcome email to. The welcome email is going to say, thank you so much for visiting our website. This is what our practice is about. These are the services we provide. These are our office hours. This is the insurance we take, et cetera, et cetera. Why don't you give us a call? You want to find out more and ask more. Who should we ask for? The best salesperson. The person who has the most empathy, the person who takes ridiculous questions from patients and answers them and be nice about it. But at the end of the day, they're going to say, hey, why don't you come and see the doctor first? Is everybody responding to this email? No. So every 2 weeks, you're going to send these people nice information, like a newsletter, or an email blast, or a special that you're ready to do. Why every 2 weeks? Because for this thing to be legal, you have to give the patient the ability to unsubscribe. If you send them an email every day, a bunch of living email outside of them, they're unsubscribing. We have found 2 weeks to be a really sweet spot. You get nice information every 2 weeks, you find very few people unsubscribe. This is cumulative. So basically, if I get 50 people in November, 50 people in December, 50 people in January, like February the 1st, I'm now marketing to 150 people who I never would have had access to before. I don't need too many of them to come in for this to be successful. That's email. This is the latest, craziest, nuttiest thing. Okay, it's meta retargeting. Okay, we'll talk about 2 separate things. Remember we spoke about before, social media. And I said that the social media that I spoke about before, we're doing 1 posting a week on your website. How is that helping? Who's seeing those posts? Very few people. Only people who like you, people looking at your site. I want to get to people who never heard of me before. So, we have to use Meta as a platform, and Meta as Facebook and Instagram. How do we do it? Okay? The first thing we're going to do is use this called boosted posts. What boosted posts is Meta has given us the ability to target specific audiences within a specific range, and we can put all kinds of criteria. So let me ask you guys a question. How far do you think someone would be willing to come to you if they never heard of you before, in miles, radius? Yes, throw a number. All right, if you're rural, 25. If you're urban, no way, okay? So let's just say we take an average of 10. So the average dental practice, if they don't know about you, they're not going to move 10 miles away, right? So when we take this 10-mile radius, that's going to be our geographic sphere. Now we run two separate services with you. Service number one, tooth whitening. Would you say more men or more women? Women. Okay, what age group? 20 to 45. Okay, fair? So now what I'm doing, if I want to tooth whitening ad, I'm now identifying people that will be interested in it. So it's women within 10 miles of my practice between the age of 20 and 45. Let's do implants. Same 10 miles. Age group? 40 to 65. Okay? 40 to 70, whatever you want to do. Okay? Men or women? Probably the same. Okay? So now I'm doing 10-mile radius, men and women, 45 to 70. Now we add another criteria here. Implants are expensive. So now I'm going to throw in a socioeconomic piece too. I'm going to say people making more than $75,000. So I've now identified a population that I want to advertise to for a specific service, which is going to interest them. This is called boosted posts. How does it work? Okay? You set a budget, which is $9 cents, you target an audience. Because you're targeting an audience is going to be interested, hopefully, in that service, as opposed to sending out to the general public, your engagement goes up from 20% to 80%. Now, that doesn't mean that 80% is people making an appointment. It means they can look at the ad. Okay? Now, this is the tool we use, and we can put in any criteria that we want. Let me explain that as the slide I took out, what happens. So now, I just targeted people. So now, let's go back to that tooth whitening one, okay? I did within 10 miles. I saw that I spent $8 in 5 days on the ad. So I'm spending $50 a month for the ad. I found that in that 5-day period, 3,822, because I forgot this slide, 3,822 people saw the ad, which means 3,822 people fell into that population. Women within 10 miles, age 25. I don't care how many people saw it. I care how many people reacted to it. So all of these Facebook posts and Instagram posts, I'm going to have a link. And the link will be a click on, so click to my website, it'll click onto a contact us form, it'll click onto a landing page, so it'll click onto something that we like. We found that 90 people clicked onto the link. It's great. It cost me $8. I got 90 people to click on it. It cost me 90 cents. It's good numbers. Now, we're going to combine that boosted post, and we're going to combine our SEO, here's your top page word search, to this new last crazy thing. Okay? All right. What is the average cost of a house in Lexington, Kentucky? 400,000? Okay. Mrs. Taylor and her family just moved to Lexington. They just bought a house for $400,000. Mrs. Taylor's 43 years old. She has 2 kids and a husband. She's looking for a dentist because I did a great job either on the boosted post or I did a great job on SEO. She sees Southern Magnolia Spas in Lexington, Kentucky. Whatever. All right? She sees it. She goes, oh, wow, this is great. They're around the corner. They accept my insurance. They're terrific. They all the evenings. I can go with my kids' evenings. It's great. It's wonderful. It's terrific. But I don't have to go in yet. I'm not due for a checkup until March. But I would remember Southern Magnolia Spas. She's not going to remember Southern Magnolia Spas. That's what we do to retargeting. But we're going to do this through Meta. So Meta is now going to track Mrs. Taylor's IP address, and Meta is going to put on Mrs. Taylor's Facebook feed and Instagram feed continuous ads for your practice. Okay, it's a nice little retargeting tool. Here's where it gets crazy. Thing called localizers. So using AI, Meta is now not only going to be placing ads on Mrs. Taylor's Facebook and Instagram feed, but they're now using AI to look like people who look like Mrs. Smith. So Mrs. Schwartz just bought a house for $480,000. She's 41 years old. She has 3 kids and a husband. She lives 3/4 of the mile from the practice. Using their AI tools, Annette is using, they now say that she looks like Mrs. Taylor. So not only are we placing ads on Mrs. Taylor's Facebook and Instagram feed, we're now placing ads on Mrs. Schwartz's Facebook and Instagram feed, even though the woman never looked at my website because she looks like Mrs. Taylor. Crazy? Crazy. Now, you have to have a meta budget. The meta budget can be split between retargets and lookalikes. It's a brand new tool. So I did this. We came out at the beginning of last year. I beta tested it for a couple of months. Then one of my best friends was a general dentist who practices in Queens, says to me, I gotta try this. This is cool. I said, okay. He goes, what do you think I should spend? I said, not a lot. I said, spend $10 a day. How should I split it up between the retargets and the lookalikes? I said, do $5,000, do $5. Now this is a chart you will never ever see from me as a marketer. This for me to show you daily results is insane. But this was really more for my edification than it was for his. I wanted to see how this thing was working. So the first month, I just wanted to see it. So these are every day, the last days of the month. Let's take from 525 up to 531. Let's look at 531. You see every day step under $10 and split pretty evenly. What did I get on 531? On 531, you spend $4.56 for the retargets, $4.84 for the lookalike. I got 5 people, like Mrs. Taylor, who already looked at my website once, who now saw a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, liked what she saw, clicked on the link, and came back to my site a second time. This is very valuable. Why? Mrs. Taylor's the perfect patient. But not only did I find Mrs. Taylor's, I got 11 Mrs. Joneses. These are people who never heard of me before. But because she looked like Mrs. Taylor, okay, Mrs. Schwartz. I got 11 Mrs. Schwartzes. Looked like this because she looked like Mrs. Taylor. She now got a Facebook and Instagram ad. She liked what she saw. She came to my website. That's great. How much did it cost me? Every day is different. It cost me 91 cents to get Mrs. Taylor to come back the second time. It cost me 44 cents to get Mrs. Schwartz to come back. Okay? All this is great. Also, we're going to wrap this up. Okay? And the last thing I want to tell you about is results. Okay? Everything I told you needs to be tracked. There are 3 things you're going to look for. 1 is location, 2 is reputation, 3 is how many new patients. Okay, so, tracking the results. Before I start with any client, I say to them, hey, give me 15, 20 keywords where I show client search for. They give me 15, 20 keywords. I'm going to take today, this is where you're appearing in search, this is your baseline. Let's see how we're doing. And we're going to do monthly reports. This is where we want, this is where we are. So here's a typical one. Okay, I typed in dental office in the zip code, which is a pretty precise thing. The customer's not sure on page 1 at all. A year later, top of page 1. Great. 2, reputation. This is a doctor who was in practice for 20 years. She had 21 total Google reviews. That's 20 years. Not only was it killing her with the patients, it's killing her with the physician. We got on our back, we yelled at her. We said, this is ridiculous, you got to do it. A year later, 290 reviews. Okay? This is good. So I got a market research, I helped them with all reputation. I haven't made them a dime yet. The only way for you to evaluate with their marketing companies, how many new patients did you bring to your practice, how much of my revenues increased because of you. So we do that with a call tracking number, I explained before. So on every website, we put a new patient-only call tracking phone number. The only place I want this new patient call tracking phone number to appear is on your website header. I don't want any business lists, I don't want any business cards, I don't want any literature you out to patients. The only time I want someone to see this is if they're surfing the internet looking for a dentist to meet. So, Divine Smiles Dental. New patient likes what she sees. She dials at 271-5372. It dials directly to the regular number, 988-3888. Patient doesn't know the difference. Doctor doesn't know the difference. Staff doesn't know the difference. The only difference is that they dial this number, the conversation goes like this. You've reached the office of Divine Smiles Dental. If you're a new patient who would like to make an appointment, please press 1. If you have any other questions or concerns, please press 2. Once they press the 1 or the 2, every single phone call gets tracked, logged, and recorded, and you have access to the call tracking log that looks like this. You can sort it any way you want. When people called you last week, you put in 11:07 to 11:14. When people called yesterday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., put 11:13 from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is the important line down here. I want to see everybody who called that hit extension 1 and 2. But what do I really want to find out? How many new patients want to make an appointment? I just did extension number 1. This will be the total number, 42 new patients who want to make an appointment during that period of time. This is the phone number. You can put it into your operating system and see if they made the appointment. Where it says 79856, every phone call gets recorded, and you can listen in on the calls. And now let me see if the patient made the appointment, but this is where you can see how you trained your staff appropriately. It's a great training tool for your staff. Okay, guys. This is what I want to see. This is a customer of mine. When we first started, they were a page form search. They had 25 total reviews with 2.6 star rating. Terrible. Their website for year one. Okay? He said, this isn't good. They're saying, hey, we're not getting new patients to the office. I said, one was one. Okay? Several months later, we got 105 new patient phone calls. Look what happened 6 months after that? 382. We quadrupled their new patient phone calls. How did we do that? Because we did everything we needed to do. Okay, guys, listen. My goal in life is to help you guys out. Okay? You want to use me for the service and don't use me. I'm here because it's very difficult. We just gave you the numbers before what it cost. I bought my first practice for $125,000. Okay? Get the idea. All right? It ain't that way no more. It's a lot harder for you than it was for me. It's a lot harder for me than it was for the farm. Okay? But I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes I did. I am here to help in any way, shape, or form that I can. That is my email address. This is my cell phone number. You guys can call me whenever you want. If you want the slides, I'm going to give them, I'm going to go through you guys an email with all the slides. I want to go through Japan. Please use me as a resource. I'm happy to answer any questions. I really view it as an honor for me to help you guys out. Okay, in terms of, I want to see you succeed. Okay, I love the profession. I love what you guys do. You guys really, you young people amaze me. How you guys know about this stuff. I really want to help you. If I help you in any way, shape, or form, that's what I'm here for. That's it,
Before I bring Elle up, real quick, I just want to say, I forgot in the craziness of tonight to thank Elle for, I reached out to Noah right away and I said, oh my gosh, you worked the wrong place, and he immediately gave me your number, and she got on that and got the message out to you guys. So thank you for doing that, by the way. So appreciate it. Thanks to our sponsors being here tonight, Joan and Jody for coming, Jody making the drive, and come on up. We'll see you guys, I think, back in January.
I'll talk about that.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay, really quick, can we have a round, let's give another round of applause.
Please feel free. I'm not running anywhere.
Okay, so we're gonna do the raffle real quick. Ben, do you mind coming up here real quick? Few things, our next meeting is, It's January 16th, so we're done with the semester. We'll see you all next semester. We have a lot of things happening in spring. We're doing t-shirts. We're doing the Hinman in Atlanta again, so if you're interested in that, kind of be planning for that. It's like end of March-ish.
What do you mean you're doing Hinman? I'll be in Hinman.
Not all of us, not quite a bit of this. We're also going to be doing some headshots in spring, so kind of be on the lookout for announcements about that. It's a great time to get them. We always do headshots. You never really know when they'll come out. So now we'll go ahead and raffle. We'll be sending out a bulk kind of first meeting in the semester, so we can maybe end the semester. Sound good? So be on the lookout for that. That's 2 days. Go ahead.
All right.